Welcome to the podcast, Cameron. It's a pleasure to have you on. Can you give us a quick rundown of your role at Insight Assurance and what your company does?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you mentioned, my name's Cameron Youngblood. I'm the VP of Sales here with Insight Assurance. Really an overarching role managing, I guess I'm the manager of the manager for business development, for inside sales, for CS, marketing. And so literally partnerships, literally anything that rolls into the go-to-market function rolls up to me. Here at Insight, we are a CPA firm founded by our partners who are former EY, Big Four. And so we utilize that methodology in all of our frameworks and our practices to help ensure quality services.
Nice. And in terms of obviously over the last, when you joined the company, where was the company at, and then where is it at today? We obviously talked about that before the podcast, but
Yeah. So when I first started here, I received a spreadsheet with about 250 current clients on it. From there, we have grown substantially. We've just eclipsed 1,400 clients. And so I started here March 1st of 2023. So my 2-year anniversary is coming up here in 10 days.
nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. So in terms of obviously Insight Assurance and what you do and who you sell to, what are the industries that you mostly serve?
A lot of it is SaaS-based companies, B2B, fintech, AI-driven, you name it, health tech, anything like that. So many of our clients start with us whenever they have anywhere from 1 to 200 full-time employees. It's typically their first time going through this motion because we do offer a little bit of guidance and support, pointing them in the right direction. That way they don't have to Google how to get prepared for audit. But a lot of our clients, they choose to go down this path because they have revenue that they can unlock up market. And they're trying to partner with larger companies like or larger banking entities, larger healthcare companies. So it's compliance has become a path of revenue in a way, as like a secondary piece to the puzzle outside of just like the main focuses of why you would want to become secure in your business. It is a driver in revenue, but like all things, I think there has to be ROI attached to a why. And I think that's why a lot of businesses are really leaning into it.
Yeah, totally. So in the range of 100 to 200 employees. And what have been some of the strategies of getting customers on board? Obviously, you've scaled 14 employees when you joined to upwards of over about 120 now. So what
Yep.
have been some of the strategies that you've used?
Yeah, even before I got here, our founders were they leaned into compliance and automation, they leaned into partnerships. And so, going from 0 clients to 250 is no small feat. Honestly, I think that's probably the hardest part. And so when I came in, there was already sort of a launching pad. We didn't I didn't change their sales process. We just made it a little bit more efficient and adapted it to kind of what SaaS and tech companies are more accustomed to, as opposed to operating like an audit firm. When you think of our space, we can't perform our audits until clients are ready to be audited. And so they have to be compliant up front. And so there can be a lot of pieces in this puzzle. I always liken it to like a conveyor belt almost, and the audit firms are at the end of it. And so we've leaned into partnerships heavily because if clients are using a compliant automation platform, if they're using a vCISO or an MSP to help with that readiness work, they tend to get ready faster. And then us as an auditing firm, we can't do our job until they're ready, which means that we don't unlock that revenue until they're ready. And so what we've done, we've implemented a business development team here at Insight, very similar to what you would have at a SaaS company. And we're going out and we're trying to find these companies before they jump on this conveyor belt. That way we can then introduce them to our partners. And as they come along, then at the end of the journey, hopefully they'll choose to work with Insight Assurance. But it strengthens our partnership motion. Today, about 80% of our revenue ends up coming from partners, or they help us in a co-selling fashion. So we've really leaned into that partnership motion. It's helped drive a lot of revenue for us.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I can definitely see our partnerships are a really big lever that you can pull when you come in and into sales. Obviously, you've got direct sales and then partnerships, but partnerships just help you get your foot in the door a lot easier with
For
those
sure.
companies. And yeah, I like the fact you mentioned obviously nurturing them throughout that course, as opposed to just trying to come in there and straight away start selling them. So In terms of getting in contact with your target market, you mentioned you've got a team of BDRs in place. What have been some of the strategies? Is that cold calling, cold emailing, LinkedIn?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a silver bullet that, is going to get you in contact with everybody. We do a variety of different types of outreach: cold calling, email, LinkedIn, you name it. The top three, and I would say the most effective way for us to booking a meeting, is through cold calling and just getting them to pick up the phone. Because we look at my inbox, we look at our founders' inbox, we look at some of the executives on our team's inbox, and there's so many times where cold emails come into them and we just skip them without even reading. Somebody on the phone really quickly. So oftentimes LinkedIn is a really good source as well, just because it kind of breaks through the noise. But I know so many people have said cold calling is dead, and I started as a business development rep in my career, so I know what it's like. I know it's a grind, but at the same time, for a sales organization, our AEs and CSMs of tomorrow are our BDRs of today. And so for them to get the experience of picking up the phone and calling somebody and talking to them and overcoming objections live, it's invaluable. And you're not going to get that through just an email. So we encourage it for two reasons. One, internal growth, but two, for the revenue generation side.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And is there any other strategies that you're looking to use in 2025 or are currently using? Obviously, cold calling, emailing, LinkedIn. Are you doing any events, expos, anything like that, or?
Yeah, our marketing team is always busy. Probably have too small of a marketing team for the organization that we've become, to be completely honest. Our senior manager has been doing a fantastic job. We've already been to 5 events this year. We have 2 more coming up by the end of the month. A lot of our partners are there, and I think it's invaluable to just get out there and like be seen in the market in front of clients, but with your partners as well. So we do a lot of ancillary events around events while also showing up to events to try to pull our ICPs out of the events and then have some more intimate conversations with them. In addition, we're leaning in heavily to like SEO, we're leaning heavily into Google Ads, trying to just drive that inbound motion a little bit more. And then G2 has been a really great resource for us. So, I mean, we can tell the world how great we are all day, but it's different when you have current clients expressing their joy for their audit. And I think that's weird to say because nobody wants to go through an audit. They're always painful, but we try to make them as efficient and least painful as possible. I never want to say easy, but yeah. So.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, like the growth that's happened in the last 2 years is absolutely crazy, and obviously your plans for this year is also looking very, very, very good, and which is big growth, especially at the level that you're at. Where do you fit in the market, and why do you think you've had that success?
Yeah, that's a great question. We get that every day on calls, and I think there's a couple of reasons. The industry has been in this race to the bottom almost for the last 2 or 3 years, where people are trying to find the cheapest solution, the fastest solution. How do we get an audit as quickly as possible? But what it's kind of turned into is this check the box motion. And with our founders' pedigree coming from big 4 firms, like we've always instilled this 3-layer of review approach. We always want to issue a report that's going to stand next to a big 4 quality report. And we haven't swayed off of that. And so while we know that there are cheaper solutions, we are we're affordable because you look at our target market. We're in that 1 to 200 headcount bucket where the majority of our clients stem from, and we have this philosophy where if we can help them today, they're going to stay with us long term, and that's to show out, and that's tend to be proven with our clients. A lot of our clients come in for one framework, they end up having a great experience, and then they'll typically end up adding additional frameworks because they have more requests in the marketplace. So you look down the road, like I do believe that our customer success function and like the account management side there's going to be a point where we have enough clients, it's going to start outpacing the new logo side where we're bringing in the revenue on the front end. But that doesn't happen if we don't give our clients a great experience along the way, because they can always go and find another auditor. We don't want to give them a reason to have to look.
Makes sense. And in terms of, I guess, the sales process, what does that look like? Obviously, you mentioned selling the B2B SaaS. They're a relatively sophisticated buyer, and especially in the sales world, among all other industries, B2B SaaS is in my experience, the most sophisticated around that. How do you sell to them?
Very similar to the way they would sell to us is the easy answer. We have condensed our sales process. Typically, most calls, because we don't have a solution that we offer, it's a service. Our sales process is a discovery call. And so we've condensed it down to one 30-minute phone call up front. As we move into those enterprise spaces, you know, you might be looking at 3 phone calls. But some of our competitors, they're still having 7 calls with clients, which, if we know anything about sales, it's that time kills all deals. And so we need to move as fast as possible, be as efficient as possible. I know that some more traditional auditing firms typically take anywhere from 2 to 7 business days to issue a proposal to a client. We have it down to 3 minutes. So after you get off the call, even if you're still like wrapping it up, you should have a proposal in your inbox pretty quickly with those next steps and those follow-ups. And I think that's very similar to what they experience whenever they're selling and what they try to get out of their account executives. And so they're able to get all of their questions answered and get a price within 40 minutes of the call starting.
Wow. How have you made that possible?
A lot of push internally from my team. So when I got here, we were issuing proposals within 24 to 48 hours. And because there's a lot of different nuances that go into these, because not every audit is the same. And so there's different trust service categories, or there's different headcount buckets, different pricing, different things like that go into it. And so we call them engagement letters. Each engagement letter has a variable to it, and so they were kind of hard to like plug in all of these different pieces. But I continue to ask feedback from our team, you know, what would help us move faster, what would help us win more effectively, and every time it came back to how do we send engagement letters more quickly. So now you look back 2 years ago when I first got here, we had somebody manually creating these every single time, and it was taking about 48 hours to get those out. Through some trial and error and using different platforms, we found one that works, that gives our account executives and customer success managers the ability to drop in every piece that they need into these engagement letters and be able to get them out extremely efficiently. So now we're not like, when that one person that would send out all the engagement letters, if he ever went on vacation or if he got sick, we were kind of with our backs against the wall, so to speak. And so it wasn't scalable. So it was something that had to be done. And luckily we were able to figure out a way to do it.
Totally. Super interesting. And within 3 minutes is pretty impressive for a proposal for your type of company, for sure. It's not just a stock standard one product. In terms of obviously future growth plans for the company, what does the next year look like? And then also looking out to the next 3 years?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, we continue to have other firms in the space come up to us and show interest in mergers, acquisitions, things like that. We don't really have any interest of that, to be completely honest. Like, I think that we're growing faster than most in the space. And so for us, it's continuing that growth motion and continuing to retain clients. And I mentioned before, we have over 1,400 clients today. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of attrition over the years, but hopefully we can keep that down to where it's manageable. I would say that we'll likely be over 2,000 clients by the end of the year. And in the next 6 years, we continue to compile different frameworks and we continue to move up market. And so over the next 3 years, I would like to think that our ACV doubles and the number of clients that we have by then doubles as well. Yeah. Which it's basically done so over the last 2 years, year over year too.
Yeah. Amazing. Growing a sales team, what's the size of the team now?
Yeah. We have 23 full-time employees on the go-to-market team. If you would have asked me on March 1st of 2023 if we would be here in 2 years, I would say absolutely not. I thought that it might be, we may have, maybe 5 individuals come this point. But it's grown extremely quickly. We've got 5 AEs, 1 enterprise AE, 6 BDRs, our BDR manager, 5 CSMs now. We had another one start today. CS manager or director of CS, 2 people in marketing, hiring another one, sales enablement lead, and our partnerships manager.
Wow.
Quite a few. A lot of people doing a lot of different things, but I think they're all necessary.
Totally. Yeah, quite a team then. How have you How have you hired effectively and grown that team?
I'm sorry?
How have you hired effectively and grown the team?
Yeah. Starting out, everybody knows that when you start out, the biggest risk is making the right hires. And so when I first got here, I mean, you can see if you just look at my LinkedIn, about half the people on my team and 100% of everybody on my team in the first year was someone either from my network or someone on the team's network. And so my first 4 hires was somebody that I previously worked with in the past that I knew could do the job, was going to be successful at it, operated very similar to me, and had a similar mindset. And now, obviously, we're to the point where we can't continue to hire people out of my network. And so it's really relying on a thorough vetting process. I bring my team members into every interview because we're looking for like-minded individuals. So that way we can reduce the risk of someone that's not the right hire. And down the road, we've made our fair share of mistakes over the last 2 years. But I think that the biggest takeaway is if you realize you've made a mistake, and this is either through the hiring process or operationally, processes, whatever it is, you can't be so set in your way and think that like, this has to work. If something's not working, you have to pivot as quickly as possible. As soon as you realize it's not working, don't be afraid to admit that it's not working. It doesn't matter whose idea it is, whether it's mine, whether it's our founders, whether it's an AE, whatever. We kind of just have to move without ego and make adjustments accordingly as quickly as possible.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. What were some of the lessons that you've learned over the past 2 years that have played a big role in your growth looking forward? And then also any mistakes that you made that you, if you could go back, you could fix or change or do something different?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say what we've done right is not trying to make everything perfect. And that sounds weird, but if you're waiting for it to be perfect, you're never going to get started. And so I'm really big on building the airplane while it's flying, kind of an analogy. But, you know, if we're going there, if we're going in the right direction, we'll figure it out along the way. If we realize that something's not working, let's pivot, let's change it, and let's find out a solution that does work. Instead of complaining, don't complain unless you have a resolution to the problem as well. And so what would I change over the last 2 years? I mean, I don't want this to come off wrong, but I think that like we've been lucky enough to have the growth that we've had because we've made mistakes. And so I don't think there's anything that I would change because we've learned from it. And so as long as we're continuing to grow and just move in the right direction, I think everything's going to fall into place the way that it should.
Yeah, totally. That's good. And in terms of 2025, all things sales, what do you think is going to be the biggest, I guess, lever to pull, this year? Obviously, there's a lot of changes happening with AI and lots of different tools coming out. What do you think is going to be the biggest, lever to pull in sales this year?
Yeah, CMMC is really big right now in the space. So leaning into the right partners in that area is going to help our growth. But all in all, what keeps coming up, and we were just at one of our partner events and we were recognized and we received the Customer Excellence Award. We continue to get recognition through G2 for our customer retention. And so if our work continues to speak for itself, it makes it easy on the sales side. If our AEs and our CSMs can believe in our process and believe in the service that we're delivering to our clients, it makes it that much easier to sell it on the front end. And so I always say that I have the easiest job in the world because of the auditors on the back end and what they do every single day. Like it's such a grind for them, and I understand that, but like we wouldn't have the momentum that we have on the front end if it weren't for what they do every single day. So just continuing to lean into the quality piece and
totally.
Just continuing to be inside assurance.
Yeah, I love it. If you believe in what you're selling, then you're going to close more deals. That belief is probably one of the most important things in sales.
Yeah.
If there was one thing in sales, it's definitely belief in what you're selling. Anyone can sell if they believe in it.
Yeah, and I've been at places in the past where I've like had to convince myself that we have the best tool or the best service or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I leave, like I realize like, oh, okay, well the writing was on the wall. Like I really was convincing myself of things where I don't find that to be the case here. So it's really refreshing, and I think that our client retention rate speaks for itself.
Awesome. Thanks for your time, Cameron. If people want to get in touch with you, where can they find you?
Yeah, they can always come to our website, insightassurance.com, or if they want to reach out to me directly, it's just my first name, Cameron, at insightassurance.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Cameron.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Alex.